Okay, we are live.
Yay!
All right. So let me tell you about my creative thoughts. So for this bit, this is a leather keychain. For the viewers we don't have, I'm gonna do like a little like what's the opposite of a ridge? Furrow.
Furrow?
Gonna do a fur. That's not the word I'm looking for, but a little indent around the edge so it looks nice and finished, and then bend it into place.
Maybe recess?
Not a recess.
A detail.
An outline. A detail.
Yeah.
But and then bend it into place, and then let it dry, and then I'll have to put the antique on tomorrow. So if that's not a full hour's worth of work, then I will do start working on the pendant.
No, we chatted enough that it's going to be only 30 minutes of work.
That's probably 30 minutes of work. Perfect. All right. And here is my work surface.
Cool.
Cutting mat, which I don't actually need the cutting mat right now, but the tile is very shiny, so I'm probably going to leave it.
Yeah. You won't damage it.
Not any more than I already have. They say they're self-healing and you can't cut them, but like, debatable.
Right.
And now the tricky thing also is I want to, I'm trying to decide also if I want to put a little more green dye on the trees. I might.
Okay.
So, but I just don't want to wash off the green dye that's already there, you know? But,
right.
There we go. Let that sink in a minute.
Where are we?
We were in the middle of the confrontation, but we had not gotten to Conjurer of Cheap Tricks yet.
If you want my ring yourself, is that where we were at?
I think so, yeah. Right about there. Bilbo was going all Gollum.
Yeah. Even if Gollum said the same once, it's not his now, but mine, and I shall keep it, I say. Gandalf stood up. He spoke sternly. You will be a fool if you do, Bilbo, he said. You make that clearer with every word you say. It has got far too much hold on you. Let it go, and then you can go yourself and be free. I'll do as I choose and go as I please, said Bilbo obstinately. Now, my dear hobbit, said Gandalf. All your long life we have been friends, and you owe me something. Come, do as you promised. Give it up. Well, if you want my ring yourself, say so, cried Bilbo. But you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand strayed to the hilt of his small sword. Gandalf's eyes flashed. It will be my turn to get angry soon, he said. If you say that again, I shall. Then you will see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked. Woo, woo, woo! He took a step toward the hobbit, and he seemed to grow tall and menacing. His shadow filled the little room. Bilbo backed away to the wall, breathing hard, his hand clutching at his pocket. They stood for a while facing one another, and the air of the room tingled. Gandalf's eyes remained bent on the hobbit. Slowly, his hands relaxed, and he began to tremble. I don't know what has come over you, Gandalf, he said. You have never been like this before. What is it all about? It is mine, isn't it? I found it. Gollum would have killed me if I hadn't kept it. I'm not a thief, whatever he said. I have never called you one, Gandalf answered.
And I...
What?
Not about the ring.
And I am not one either. That's true. He called him a burglar all the fucking time.
Right? Like, is burglar different from thief in some way, Gandalf? Or are you a hypocrite?
He's just inconsistent. I have this problem when Gandalf introduces two completely different characters as the oldest living thing.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, but hear me out here. He doesn't say Tom Bombadil is the oldest living thing. He says he is the oldest, which implies that Tom Bombadil may not be alive.
Eldest and fatherless. All right. Headcanon accepted. But one of the things I want to do is learn how to do chibis and then draw little baby Treebeard and little baby Tom Bombadil having adventures together in like a chibi land and just call it like Adventures of the Eldest.
I love it.
Like watering the first acorn so that it sprouts and right, right. I see like a whole series, and then I'll make stickers. But chibis aren't my style, but no chibi artist I know has done this yet. So I'm like, I guess I have to learn.
Do it. Oh my God. Okay. Do it Calvin and Hobbes style.
Oh my god! Oh my
Tom
god!
is Calvin and Treebeard is Hobbes.
It is totally Hobbes. Wonder what they called him before he had a beard.
Tree stubble.
Twig chin.
Well, that's under consideration as a potential Hobbit name.
It's because any two-syllable word that contains eyes in both syllables is adorable.
I
It's
can't
like
dispute you
Dickhead is
there.
terrible, but Dick Biscuit is adorable.
I'm a fan of calling people ass baskets.
Yeah. A repetition of a short vowel is just...
It's just fun to say.
It is. Fool of a toque. We're not the first to have figured it out.
What? Tolkien figured something out before we did?
Something having to do with language.
What? No.
I have never called you one, Gandalf answered, because there is a difference between a thief and a burglar. And I am not one either. I am not trying to rob you, but to help you. I wish you would trust me, as you used. He turned away, and the shadow passed. He seemed to dwindle again to an old grey man, bent and troubled. Bilbo drew his hand over his eyes. I am sorry, he said, but I felt so queer. And yet it would be a relief in a way not to be bothered with it any more. It has been so growing on my mind lately. Sometimes I have felt it was like an eye looking at me. Dun dun dun!
Foreshadowing.
And I am always wanting to put it on and disappear, don't you know? Or wondering if it is safe and pulling it out to make sure. I tried locking it up, but I found I couldn't rest without it in my pocket. I don't know why, and I don't seem able to make up my mind. Then trust mine, said Gandalf. It is quite made up. Go away and leave it behind. Stop possessing it. Give it to Frodo, and I will look after him. Bilbo stood for a moment, tense and undecided. Presently he sighed. All right, he said with an effort. I will. Then he shrugged his shoulders and smiled rather ruefully. After all, that's what this party business was all about, really. To give away lots of birthday presents and somehow make it easier to give it away at the same time. Oh, Tolkien, you... It was a birthday present. That's what Smeagol called it for all those years, was a birthday present. So yeah, he would be
Mm-hmm.
giving away a birthday present.
Yep, yep. Also, I remembered the word I was looking for. Groove is the word.
Groove. Fool of a
Groove.
groove.
Took of a groove.
Groove of a toque. A runnel or gore.
Oh God. No. Don't come at me with that.
Give away lots of birthday presents and somehow make it easier to give it away at the same time. It hasn't made it any easier in the end, but it would be a pity to waste all my preparations. It would quite spoil the joke. Indeed, it would take away the only point I ever saw in the affair, said Gandalf, you nagging bitch.
So what else is new about Gandalf?
Right? I mean, forgive me, but if you know your friend is planning to leave his hometown forever and he wants to throw a huge party to say goodbye to everybody, isn't that a point?
Keep in mind that Gandalf has like 2 friends
It's true.
and has never had a home, like
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, he's not the most um we're not taking his word as gospel. He's not unbiased.
And boy, wouldn't he hate that.
Yeah.
Side note, I'm going to start working with a hammer, so I'm muting myself, but I'm still here.
Okay. That's going to be surreal. Very well, said Bilbo. It goes to Frodo with all the rest. He drew a deep breath. And now I really must be starting, or somebody else will catch me. I have said goodbye, and I couldn't bear to do it all over again. He picked up his bag and moved to the door. You have still got the ring in your pocket, said the wizard. Well, so I have, cried Bilbo. And my will, and all the other documents, too. You had better take it and deliver it for me. That will be safest. No, don't give the ring to me, said Gandalf. Put it on the mantelpiece. It will be safe enough there till Frodo comes. I shall wait for him. Bilbo took out the envelope, but just as he was about to set it by the clock, his hand jerked back and the packet fell on the floor. Before he could pick it up, the wizard stooped and seized it and set it in its place. A spasm of anger passed swiftly over the hobbit's face again. Suddenly it gave way to a look of relief and a laugh. Well, that's that, he said. Now I'm off. They went out into the hall. Bilbo chose his favorite stick from the stand. Then he whistled. 3 dwarfs came out of different rooms where they had been busy. Is everything ready? Asked Bilbo. Everything packed and labeled? Everything, they answered. Well, let's start then. He stepped out of the front door. It was a fine night, and the black sky was dotted with stars. He
Okay,
looked
hold
up.
up a second.
Yeah.
That whole argument was being overheard by 3 dwarves who were in the other room, who were just
Yep.
like, that's not my problem.
I also kind of find it touching that the dwarfs have spent all these decades kind of looking after Bilbo. Like he's their guy.
Yeah.
He's there. And now we know, even though the movies never touched on it, that he's about to wander all the way to the Lonely Mountain, hang out there for a bit, check out Dale, and then wander all the way back to Rivendell. And you know the dwarfs are his bodyguards and like quartermasters, and I'm like, that's just so fucking sweet.
It is really sweet.
It is.
And I bet they're so glad they don't have to overhear any awkward couple
Right,
fights.
no more of that. Thank you.
Because they were just in the other room, like,
Jesus,
giving each other
Bilbo.
the, like, look.
Right. I won't give my precious away. I'm like, oh god, he's talking about that stupid invisibility ring again. Jesus, Bilbo. The fuck?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Maybe they had their headphones in.
Maybe they put their headphones in as soon as it started.
Oh. Well, let's start then. He stepped out of the front door. It was a fine night, and the black sky was dotted with stars. He looked up, sniffing the air. What fun! What fun to be off again, off on the road with dwarfs. This is what I have really been longing for years. Goodbye, he said, looking at his old home and bowing to the door. Goodbye, Gandalf. Goodbye for the present, Bilbo. Take care of yourself. You are old enough, and perhaps wise enough. Take care. I don't care. Don't you worry about me. I am as happy now as I have ever been, and that is saying a great deal. But the time has come. I am being swept off my feet at last, he added, and then in a low voice, as if to himself, he sang softly in the dark. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet, and whither then I cannot say. He paused, silent for a moment. Then, without another word, he turned away from the lights and voices in the fields and tents, and, followed by his 3 companions, went around into his garden and trotted down the long sloping path. He jumped over a low place in the hedge at the bottom and took to the meadows, passing into the night like a rustle of wind in the grass. Gandalf remained for a while, staring after him into the darkness. Goodbye, my dear Bilbo. Until our next meeting, he said softly, and went back indoors. Frodo came in soon afterwards and found him sitting in the dark, deep in thought. Has he gone? He asked. Yes, answered Gandalf. He has gone at last. I hoped until this evening that it was only a joke, said Frodo, but I knew in my heart that he really meant to go. He always used to joke about serious things. I wish I had come back sooner, just to see him off. I think really he preferred slipping off quietly in the end, said Gandalf. Don't be too troubled. He'll be all right now. He left a packet for you. There it is. Frodo took the envelope from the mantelpiece and glanced at it, but did not open it. You'll find his will and all the other documents in there, I think, said the wizard. You are the master of Bag End now, and also, I fancy, you'll find a golden ring. The ring! Exclaimed Frodo. Has he left me that? I wonder why. Still, it may be useful. It may, and it may not, said Gandalf.
Understating the case severely.
Also, Gandalf, we need a phrase for the Gandalf double speak when he's like, it is and it isn't. I know things that are many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gandalfian bet hedging.
Gandedging? No. No.
GBH? Gandalf bet hedging.
No.
I should not make use of it if I were you, but keep it secret and keep it safe. Now I am going to bed. As master of Bag End, Frodo felt it his painful duty to say goodbye to the guests. Rumors of strange events had by now spread all over the field, But Frodo would only say, "No doubt everything will be cleared up in the morning." About midnight, carriages came for the important folk. One by one they rolled away, filled with full, but very unsatisfied, hobbits. Gardeners came by arrangement, and removed in wheelbarrows those that had inadvertently remained behind. Night slowly passed. The sun rose. The hobbits rose rather later. Morning went on. People came and began by orders to clear away the pavilions and the tables and the chairs, and the spoons and knives and bottles and plates, and the lanterns, the flowering shrubs in boxes, and the crumbs and cracker paper, the forgotten bags and gloves and handkerchiefs, and the uneaten food, a very small item. Then a number of other people came without orders. I keep glancing up and thinking there's a cheese on your workbench.
A very understandable confusion. It is a sponge, but it does look like a cheese.
Squeeze the cheese!
As a side note, I don't know if you can see the difference where I've beveled and where I haven't. Hang on, let me get it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The beveling is like, it doesn't take a long time, but it just makes everything look so much nicer.
Very much more finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Do. Then a number of other people came without orders. Bagginses and Boffins and Bolgers and Tooks and other guests that lived or were staying near. By midday, when even the best fed were out and about again, there was a large crowd at Bag End, uninvited, but not unexpected. Frodo was waiting on the step, smiling but looking rather tired and worried. He welcomed all the callers, but he had not much more to say than before. His reply to all inquiries was simply this: "Mr. Bilbo Baggins has gone away. As far as I know, for good." Some of the visitors he invited to come inside, as Bilbo had left messages for them. Inside the hall there was piled a large assortment of packages and parcels and small articles of furniture. On every item there was a label tied. There were several labels of this sort: "For Adelard Took, for his very own, from Bilbo." On an umbrella, Adelard had carried off many unlabeled ones. "For Dora Baggins, in memory of a long correspondence, with love from Bilbo." On a large waste-paper basket. Dora was Drogo's sister and the eldest surviving female relative of Bilbo and Frodo. She was 99 and had written reams of good advice for more than half a century. "For Milo Burrows, hoping it will be useful, from BB." On a gold pen and ink bottle. Milo never answered letters. "For Angelica's use, from Uncle Bilbo." On a round convex mirror. She was a young Baggins, and too obviously considered her face shapely. "For the collection of Hugo Bracegirdle, from a contributor." On an empty bookcase. Hugo was a great borrower of books, and worse than usual at returning them. He's nagging the neighbors.
Look, he's been friends with Gandalf for like 100 years. What do you expect?
"For Lobelia Sackville Baggins, as a present." On a case of silver spoons. Bilbo believed that she had acquired a good many of his spoons while he was away on his former journey. Lobelia knew that quite well. When she arrived later in the day, she took the point at once, but she also took the spoons. Yeah. The queens of negging, Gandalf and Bilbo are.
Mm-hmm.
This is only a small selection of the assembled presents. Bilbo's residence had got rather cluttered up with things in the course of his long life. It was a tendency of hobbit holes to get cluttered up, for which the custom of giving so many birthday presents was largely responsible. Not, of course, that the birthday presents were always new, There were one or two old mathams of forgotten uses that had circulated all around the district. I always picture like an old-fashioned egg whisk right there. But like
right?
that isn't obviously an egg whisk, but something with gears and a handle. But what do you use it for?
Exactly. Or like there's some places on the internet where people will go to estate sales and stuff and just post pictures of things and be like, "What is this for?" And
Right?
sometimes other people can identify it and sometimes nobody can figure it out. And that's what I think of.
Just it's a thing. It's like imagine you turn like 21 and you get to open that at your uh or you go to someone's birthday and they give it to you and you're like, I get the thing.
I
Grandma
get this.
told me about the thing.
Oh my
Does this make
God.
me an adult now? Oh my god. Mm. But Bilbo had usually given new presents and kept those that he received. The old hole was being cleared a little. Every one of the various parting gifts had labels written out personally by Bilbo, and several had some point or some joke. But of course, most of the things were given where they would be wanted and welcome. The poorer hobbits, and especially those of Bagshot Row, did very well. Old Gaffer Gamgee got 2 sacks of potatoes, a new spade, a woolen waistcoat, and a bottle of ointment for creaking joints. Sorry, that's such an odd hodgepodge of presents. Also, why give potatoes to Gaffer Gamgee? Isn't he like the potato king?
Maybe they're seed potatoes. Maybe they're like a particularly nice kind of potato.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. That fixes
Yeah.
that. Old Rory Brandybuck, in return for much hospitality, got a dozen bottles of old Wynyards, a strong red wine from the South Farthing, and now quite mature as it had been laid down by Bilbo's father. Rory quite forgave Bilbo and voted him a capital fellow after the first bottle. We're a short paragraph away from a gap. There was plenty of everything left for Frodo, and of course all the chief treasures, as well as the books, pictures, and more than enough furniture, were left in his possession. There was, however, no sign nor mention of money or jewelry. Not a penny piece or a glass bead was given away. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Also, I was looking down. Oh, sorry.
hobbits are so fucking acquisitive. You were saying?
I was looking down because I had a Lord of the Rings thing saved, but it's too long to read today, so we will have to read it next time. Um, but also, I saved a post that is, hang on. Hang on.
Have you ever seen the long post that describes Lord of the Rings as a D&D campaign?
Maybe?
I'll find it and send it to you because it's, again, not read aloudable, but it's like, here is why it's perfect. It's so perfect.
This post is not Lord of the Rings related, but date. Can you take off your work gloves? Jim Henson. They have names.
Oh, I saw Frank Oz and Jim Henson were fucking around one day, and there's this clip of Fozzie and Kermit where Fozzie's talking about something bears, and Kermit's like, "Well, but you know you're not a real bear, right?" Have
I've
you seen
seen
this?
that.
Yeah. It's like,
How are
what?
you?
You're made of felt, Fozzie. You you hurt me. I'm gonna hurt you. You know what you are? I don't remember what Fozzie said. Something like, "Frogs don't have frills, Kermit."
I guess they don't, but I've never thought of that as an unfrog-like attribute of Kermit's.
I did years ago bring it up on the interwebs that Kermit is more he more closely resembles a frilled lizard. Um, and I made the joke that he's a frilled lizard that identifies as a frog, and someone said, "Then why the fuck are you dead speciesing him? If he identifies as a frog, he's a fucking frog." And I was like, "You're right.
They've got you there.
I apologize. That was unacceptable of me."
Oh, goodness. All right. I love you very much. I will see you on Sunday.
I love you too. Cuidado.
Te amas.
I can't leave. Leave.